Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Wonderful to be with you this morning. I am the Reverend William Levewood, affectionately known as Rev Lev. My pronouns are he and him, and I am the minister here at Accotink Unitarian Universalist Church.
I'm Sheila Doles. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm happy to be your worship associate today. This congregation is a welcoming and inclusive spiritual home where we inspire each other to live our values. Together we care in community, grow in spirit, and act for justice. Whether you're a longtime member or a newcomer or something in between, we're delighted that you decided to join us today. Welcome.
We have a special service this morning. First of all, every third Sunday this year, we're going to keep it really consistent. Every third Sunday this year, we're going to have our multi-generational services, which is so important, particularly for our children and youth. Research shows that when those children and youth are involved in multi-generational engagement in their congregation, either through multi-generational services or through like our meal pack where they do service with people of all ages, they're much more likely to stay Unitarian Universalists as adults. So these multi-generational services on every third Sunday are really important. Also, this Sunday is our water communion. The water communion started in the 1980s. It came with the women's spirituality movement really coming into Unitarian Universalism. It's how most Unitarian Universalist churches start their church year at some point in the fall with an ingathering, and you may have brought water this morning, or we also have water up here for you to put into our communal bowl of water, our communal vessel of water, to symbolize the ways that we are all connected, both here and to the world beyond here. You may have noticed, or you may not have noticed, so I'm going to point it out. I've talked about focusing on each Sunday one part of our mission statement. So I'm really trying to weave these messages together. So the first Sunday of this month, the sermon was called Humility and the next Sunday was called Heartbreak and this Sunday is called Homecoming and. So you see, even with the alliteration there, we're trying to make connections. And also the first Sunday was the art of being, and the second Sunday was the benefits of being, and today is training to be. Today it's training to be avatars of love, so we're going to have a lot of fun with that in a little bit. I also want to let you know that next Sunday we have a pulpit swap. It's the first time, at least during my time here, that we're doing this. So you'll have the Reverend Kirk Freeman in the pulpit here, and I will be at Davies UU in Camp Springs, Maryland, preaching next Sunday. We're going to do this just a few times this year as a way to just give you more guest preachers and stay in our budget at the same time. The following Sunday, September 29th, we're doing our question box service. That's when you can submit questions to me. I do prefer if I get them before the service ahead of time so I can take just a few notes, but I'm going to answer your questions. That's going to be the sermon for the day. So email those to me between now and then, and that's going to move us towards our October theme, which is deep listening. So the starting points and the Soul Matters small groups are also another way to practice deep listening together and to build community together. Starting point is for newcomers and new members, so I hope some of the new members that we're going to celebrate today will come to our starting points. That runs in October on Tuesdays. And then many of our Soul Matters groups are starting in October as well. So if you're interested in those, let me know also. And I mentioned we're going to talk about Avatar. Anybody know Avatar, The Last Airbender, that TV series? Got any fans? Okay, so we're going to talk about that. We have, in a way, our own avatar for Unitarian Universalism. I don't know if you've run into it. It's called JetPig. Can we actually get the JetPig Lego slide up? So JetPig stands for Justice, Equity, Transformation, Pluralism, Interdependence, and Generosity. These are our new shared UU values. This is a Lego of JetPig. That lives in my office. Kate McDevitt made that, and I actually found that online, that photo there. So Jet Pig is our new mascot. It's powered by love that we put at the center of these shared values. We explored those values in detail last year. Each of those values has a line that defines the value. Then it has a line that tells us what we're called to do to live out their value. But some of them have a third line. And that third line, from my perspective, is how we do those things. Those third lines include things like inclusive democracy, relationships of mutuality. It talks about making repair, particularly with the earth and all beings. So this year for our Soul Matters, the overarching theme is the practices of love, or the practices of liberating love. So this month that practice is invitation. And then we're going to explore these practices of love. Now, if putting love at the center just doesn't kind of work for you, I will share that my mentor as a minister, Reverend Janet Bush, mentioned to me once that she thought beloved community would have been a good choice to put at the center. So if that works better for you than love, go ahead and put beloved community in there. I spoke with another UU minister who said she would put flourishing at the center, which is mentioned in equity. So feel free to play with that, but we have practices that are going to help us to flourish, that are going to help us be beloved community, that are going to help us center love, and we're going to explore those throughout this year. So, without further ado, we're going to light our chalice in a moment, but first, this is a poetic rendering of our UU values.
Together, we make a web.
Fractal echoes embracing and connecting all.
All of us sacred beings, just by being who we are.
For all the ways we are the same, a celebration.
For all the ways we are different, a celebration. Sacred beings, we grow together.
In spirit we grow, in spirit.
In love we grow, in love.
Growing, changing, we are life. Gift, giving birth to gift, giving birth to gift, we are.
Gratitude, cultivating generosity, nurturing hope, we are.
Life, flourishing, we are.
Life, thriving, we are.
Life, beloved, community beloved, we are.
Fractal echoes, embracing and connecting all.
Together, we make a web. So, the story for this morning is me summarizing 4 seasons of Avatar: The Last Airbender in 7 minutes. Here we go. I thought about doing it the way Olaf summarizes Frozen, but I couldn't pull that off. In another world, gifted human beings are able to magically manipulate the natural elements of earth, air, fire, and water. These gifts are known as earthbending, airbending, firebending, and yes, you guessed it, waterbending. No one is given the ability to bend more than one element. No one except the Avatar. Societies form around these elemental disciplines. The Earth Kingdom is governed by strict laws and a stratified hierarchy, reminiscent of the caste system in India. Their capital city of Ba Sing Se is like a mountain with a king residing at the top, and each circular rung another layer of society. The air nomads have left worldly concerns behind and devoted themselves to meditation. Like Zen monks, they shave their heads and reside at a monastery in the clouds atop a mountain. The water tribes live at the north and south poles in small villages, hunting fish in their close-knit communities in an icy tundra. The Fire Nation is a military society organized around rank and honor that uses fire to develop a lot of technological advancements for war and conquest. And for centuries, these diverse societies have lived in relative harmony until the Fire Lord decides to conquer the world, supposedly to bring peace by imposing the superiority of the Fire Nation's ways on all other nations. Enter the latest reincarnation of the Avatar, reincarnated in this cycle as an airbender. 12-year-old Aang is away from his monastery when the Fire Nation wipes out all the other air nomads. And caught in a storm over the ocean, Aang is frozen in ice for 100 years, which preserves him as a 12-year-old, only to be accidentally discovered by brother and sister Sokka and Katara of the Southern Water Tribe. Now it's up to Aang, the last airbender, to learn all of the bending disciplines so that he can defeat the Fire Lord and save the world from the Fire Nation's tyrannical world domination. What follows is a rollicking journey on the back of Aang's animal best friend Appa, the six-legged, supersized flying sky bison, with Aang accompanied by Sokka and Katara, and later the blind earthbender Toph, evading the Fire Nation while Aang trains in waterbending, earthbending, and eventually firebending. Now, despite the seriousness of this quest, these are a bunch of tweens with magical gifts on a coming-of-age quest, so much fun and hilarity ensues along the way, complete with penguin sledding, that's sledding on penguins as the sleds, a half-crazed Earth King, an ancient artifact stolen from pirates who then make chase after the team, a giant owl-shaped spirit for a librarian, and an iconic cabbage merchant whose cart is repeatedly destroyed, including by a platypus bear. Oh, and there's plenty of romance too. Well, for the brother and sister duo of heartthrobs who keep having other heartthrobs fall in love with them while they're getting in and out of hot water. Water tribe, hot water, see what I did there? Sadly, these romances usually don't work out. Katara's love interest, Jet, starts out as a swoon-worthy Robin Hood, but turns out to be a vengeful terrorist. And Sokka's true love, princess from the Northern Water Tribe, transforms herself into the moon goddess to save the world rather than spend her life with a perpetually hungry goofball with an undercut. In book two, we learn that earthbending was discovered when two star-crossed Romeo and Juliet-style lovers were forced to meet in secret tunnels beneath the earth. It was there that they learned the secrets to the art of earthbending from the original earthbenders, the badger moles. Did I neglect to mention that pretty much all the animals in this series are hybrids? Platypus bears, or skunk bears, or armadillo bears, or gopher bears. Except, of course, for the Earth King's pet bear, which is just a bear. Also, all of the bending magic was originally taught to humans by animals, be they badger moles, flying sky bison, dragons, or, gosh, I don't remember exactly what animal taught water bending. Oh, it was the moon. It was the moon, which is not exactly an animal, but anyway. Eventually, a blind earth-bending girl named Toph, who can see by feeling the vibrations of the earth with her feet, joins Team Avatar, and even later on, Prince Zuko of the Fire Nation, who up to that point has been hunting the Avatar to win back the favor of his father, the Fire Lord. Eventually, Prince Zuko has a change of heart and joins Team Avatar as well. Aang learns all the elemental disciplines, struggling the most with airbending because it's the opposite of air. Earthbending because it's the opposite of air. And together, Team Avatar is able to defeat the Fire Lord, despite his having superpowers due to the appearance of a once in every 100 years comet. Gives him extra fire-bending power. Oh, and most of the romances finally work out. Prince Zuko is reunited with his partner, Mai, to make the perfect drama queen emo couple ever. Sokka is reunited with the Kyoshi warriors Sokka and Suki, isn't that great? And Katara kisses Aang beneath a gorgeous sunset. The end. No, it's the end. That sunset literally says the end on the screen. You might be asking, what's the point of all this? So rather than trying to explain it myself, I think it would be better to have Uncle Iroh explain. So we're going to have Uncle Iroh join us for a moment on our screen.
People of the Fire Nation have desire and will, and the energy and drive to achieve what they want. Earth is the element of substance. The people of the Earth Kingdom are diverse and strong. They are persistent and enduring. Air is the element of freedom. The air nomads detached themselves from worldly concerns and found peace and freedom. Also, they apparently had pretty good senses of humor. Water is the element of change. The people of the Water Tribe are capable of adapting to many things. They have a deep sense of community and love that holds them together through anything.
Why are you telling me these things?
It is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If we take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Understanding others, the other elements, and the other nations will help you become whole.
So just like Unitarian Universalists, Uncle Iroh knows that it's important to draw wisdom from many sources. And even though we're celebrating water communion today, we're going to explore all the elements this morning. 2 Sundays ago, I shared about virtue ethics, in which ethics is the mean between 2 extremes. The Fire Nation, like the religious right in our own time and place, wants a hard and fast right and wrong. It can be a compelling vision because by sidestepping the complexity and the uncertainty of life, it makes life easier to handle. But virtue ethics gives us a foundation that can both provide clarity without sidestepping life's complexities. With virtue ethics, there is no hard and fast right and wrong. Instead, we're asked to pay attention to the context and the needs arising in the moment, and then to choose the right tool for that moment. Sometimes that tool will be a passionate, fiery commitment to justice. Other times, the strength to hold one's ground and persist and endure over time. Sometimes the healing waters of community are what help us through life's changing landscapes, and sometimes we need to fly free like a bird in the sky. Virtue ethics, like Uncle Iroh, advises us to open to all the energies and to choose what is loving in each moment. This takes practice. Love takes practice. So this is what we're going to explore all year. Avatar ran for 4 seasons, with the first season focused on Aang learning about water bending, the second season learning about earth bending, the third learning fire bending. So next month, we'll explore water through deep listening, and in November, through healing and repair. You might ask yourself, are you a good listener, or is that a place for you to put in a little more work? It might not be a yes or no answer. For example, generally, I'm a good listener, but sometimes I'm not. Particularly with my family, I listen, but not always deeply, not necessarily with the emotional resonance that's needed. What about healing and repair? Again, it might not be a yes or no answer. I find that I'm good with repair in everyday situations, but repairing those deeper wounds in a relationship is challenging for me. In December and January, we'll move on to earthbending with a focus on presence and story. You might ask yourself, what cultivates a calm, peaceful presence in your life? You might ask yourself, what stories are foundational for you? What stories have shaped you and continue to shape you? Firebending is, for our purposes, about acceptance and affirmation of ourselves and others. So in February, we'll explore inclusion, and in March, how to engage in nurturing trust. And finally, we'll practice joy, imagination, and freedom, soaring through the metaphorical heavens like an airbender on a flying sky bison. And we're going to do, or I'm going to offer at least an art exploration for those who want to do it. If we can have the slide for the image Uncle Ira drew for each element. You'll see here he has water, earth, fire, and air. In a moment you'll see that. You're invited now to draw your own image for each element. So you can draw first 2 lines, one vertical and one horizontal, or you can fold your paper. If you need paper or colored pencils or markers, raise your hand and an usher will bring those to you. So you can draw those abstract symbols that you saw in the video, or you can draw a more realistic image, like the mountain, the clear lake, the flower, or an open blue sky. While you work on your drawings, so go ahead and get to work on your drawings. This is my reflection for the service, and I see at least one person still needs, oh, it's coming. 3 people still need supplies. So I want to point out that these 4 elements described by Thich Nhat Hanh can be found in many traditions. The 4 Brahma Viharas are another example of this from Buddhism. So the mountain is comparable to equanimity, and I want to describe this for us for a moment. This is not just a passive calm, this is an unshakable equanimity. No matter whether there is sunshine or storm or snow, the mountain remains peaceful, solid, unshakable. The sky, too, accepts whatever comes. The sun is always there, shining down, even when obscured by clouds. So, too, we can practice loving kindness. That's another of the Brahma Viharas, for ourselves and for all beings, no matter what fills the sky. To be truly loving, we must connect with others at an emotional level with empathy and with compassion for their suffering. And so we practice that, symbolized by the clear lake. And finally, rooted in equanimity, loving kindness, and compassion, we can be joyful. Joy can flow freely between us and others. This Brahma Vihara is known as sympathetic joy or shared joy. The Brahma Viharas, by the way, are another example of virtue ethics. Everyone has a far enemy and a near enemy. So the far enemy of shared joy would be sadness, but the near enemy would be a kind of hypermanic joy that disrupts your ability to connect with others. So it's not a shared joy. So that's the near enemy, and then there's the far enemy. And every Brahma Vihara has those. I also want to point out, I said this is in multiple traditions, so neuroscience also reveals these 4 energies. Amy Banks describes this with the mnemonic CARE. C for that mountain-like calm that can't be shaken. A for acceptance or affirmation. R for emotional resonance. And E for the enervating, joyful energy that can flow between us. Embodying these energies, calm, equanimity, affirming loving kindness, resonant compassion, and energizing joy, these are relational practices. I spoke last Sunday about the mistake of trying to open to our sorrow on our own, rather than with the embrace of a community of practice. Here too, we need others to practice. The avatar in the TV series is supposedly only one person who can master all the elements and save the world. But in reality, throughout the series, the avatar does nothing alone. The avatar's friends, the avatar's companions on the journey. Joining with those companions is how salvation and wholeness actually come about. They even call themselves Team Avatar. So we need to be our own Team Avatar. We need our own Team Avatar around us. Though I suggest that we think of it not as Team Avatar, but Team Accotink. You might ask yourself, who's part of your team avatar? Could also include people outside of Accotink. And how are you a part of Team Accotink? Are you skilled at the calm equanimity of earthbending? Do you resonate and embody with the affirmingness and acceptance of fire, or the resonant empathy of waterbending, or perhaps you're naturally filled with energy and joy like Avatar Aang? We need to practice all the disciplines of love, and we need each other. We need our own team avatar, and one of the ways to have a team avatar is to be a part of Team Accotink. So in a moment, we're going to have you all come up and join your waters together to symbolize community. Remember, the waterbenders were really good at community, so we join our waters together. There's really only one water in the whole world, traveling, changing form, freezing and dissipating and flowing in oceans and rivers and lakes. So we're gonna, in a moment, and it might be a little tricky, we'll have the front rows come first and have you then go around the sides to get back to your seats. It's wonderful how crowded we are, so that'll be a little challenging in a good way. So you might think about, I know that Sheila shared that her water is from the pond at her house. So you might, maybe you brought it from a specific body of water, or I didn't bring water from a specific body of water. So I'm going to think of the Atlantic Ocean, because that's important to me. My family takes a beach trip there each year in October. So whatever body of water you want to bring to mind as you pour your water, as we combine our gifts and our challenges as well, all of it together so that we can travel together as community. And we keep a little bit of the water from year to year. So this is water that's been sterilized from last year's water communion, which also includes a little bit of water, most likely from the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. So there's also that continuity through time as well. So Sheila and I are going to begin by adding that water. And then Brad's going to serenade us with music as you all start from the front and then go around the sides to bring up your water. We bless these, the waters of the earth and the waters of our community.
Okay, as we extinguish our chalice, I invite you to join me now in our community blessing with these words of David Bumbaugh, slightly adapted. This church is dedicated to the proposition that by embracing our differences and celebrating our diversity, we honor the unity that makes us one and binds us forever together in spite of time, death, and the space between the stars. We pause now in silent witness to that unity. Now that we've gathered together in this welcoming and inclusive spiritual home, let us go out into the world nourished, rejuvenated, and inspired to share our values.